Hey guys, welcome back to the video. In this video, we're ranking all of the DCEU heroes from the worst to the best. As you can see on screen right now, I have a tier list pulled up with all of the heroes and anti-heroes in the DCEU, and I'll be categorizing them in the tiers of bad, meh, good, great, and best of the best. And before we get into my ranking, let me know your ranking of the DCEU heroes in the comments down below. But without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. So starting off the list, we have Aquaman, and honestly, I'm gonna put him in best of the best. This might be a hot take, but I absolutely love the first Aquaman movie. Aquaman 2 doesn't seem to be getting great reception from test screenings, but as of now, we only have him in Aquaman, Justice League, and stuff like that, and I think this is a great character. First of all, the casting, Jason Momoa, is absolutely perfect, but also just the way that he plays into all of the storylines with Atlantis, the way he's introduced into the Justice League. I think Jason Momoa embodies this character 100%, and I think that he works really, really well in the DCEU. Next up on the list, though, is Ben Affleck's Batman. Now, this one is very difficult for me to categorize strictly because I'm not a fan of this interpretation of Batman. I do not like that he uses guns. I don't like any of that stuff. I am an anti-Batman with a gun kid. Like, I hate that Batman has a gun, but I'm going to put him at good. He'll probably end up going at bottom of good just because I think he has enough character development to make me actually feel something for the character, especially after rewatching Zack Snyder's Justice League for the first time ever. I rewatched it back in December, and I really enjoy Ben Affleck's Batman in that movie. Again, I genuinely just don't like that Batman uses a gun. I don't like that he kills. I don't like, dude, I hate the character choices that are made with this character, but in the grand scheme of the DCEU, I think he is well enough written. Next up on the list, though, is Bloodsport, and I'm going to put him, I would honestly, for right now, I'm going to put him below Aquaman, and if you guys didn't know, I do rank them within the actual tiers, and that's why I call this a ranking video, because I'm still ranking them just within the tiers so you guys can get a better gauge of where I would classify them per se. But yeah, Bloodsport, amazing character, really well developed in the Suicide Squad. And if you guys watched my DCEU ranking video, which I posted earlier this weekend, I just found out that the Suicide Squad is only 2 hours and like 12 minutes long. I'd be surprised if this movie wasn't nearing like 3 hours long. It's only 2 hours and 12 minutes. Wow. Okay. I did not know that because wow, I thought this movie was way longer than that. And the amount of character development that movie has is absurd. And Bloodsport is at the very front of that. In such short amount of runtime, the movie balances so many different characters. And again, Bloodsport's at the forefront. He gets probably the most development out of all of the characters. And he's also just really, really badass. Next up on the list, though, we have Cyborg. I'm going to put him at top of great. We only have him in Zack Snyder's Justice League. But I would put him above Ben Affleck's Batman just because it feels like Cyborg. You have a lot of great character moments, especially in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, he's barely in the Justice League, but I really just love his utilization in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and the way that Ray Fisher is, I think that's what the actor's name is, the way that he portrays this role is really, really well done, really embodies the character of Cyborg, and again, in just Zack Snyder's Justice League, you feel so much for this character and you really understand what the character has gone through, and I really love that about this character. And then we have the Flash. I'm going to put him at, honestly, I will put him at top of good just because I have a lot of fun with this character. Like, I always have a laugh when the Flash is on the screen, and even in Justice League, as much as I do not like that movie at all, he's arguably the best part of it. Like, he's just stupid, dumb fun, and it's kind of the same thing that he does in Zack Snyder's Justice League, in my opinion. I love his introduction, but a lot of these characters are very underdeveloped, which means they can't be great. And it's not that they're not faithful characters, because the Flash is a great like, I think this Flash, just Ezra Miller, as controversial of a person as he is, embodies this character really well, in my opinion. And then we have Harley Quinn. Honestly, another best of the best casting, arguably better than Jason Momoa casting-wise, but just character development-wise, also because of the fact that she is in the original Suicide Squad movie, and that movie sucks balls. I am not gonna put her in number one, just because I also feel like Aquaman has been more hit with his appearances in not only Justice League, but obviously his own movie as well. But yeah, Harley Quinn is just an amazing character in the DC universe. Again, all the stuff with the Suicide Squad, but also Margot Robbie is just like the perfect person to play this role. Like, she embodies what it means to be like silly, goofy, stupid, But also there's a lot of emotional core moments in not only Birds of Prey, but I know I hate on Suicide Squad a lot, but Harley Quinn's definitely the highlight of that movie. And I don't like that Joker either. I don't like a lot of things about these DCU movies, but Harley Quinn is one thing that consistently through the really, really weird movies, but also the great movies, a character that stays consistently really well written. And then we have King Shark. I'm going to put King Shark, honestly, above Ben Affleck's Batman. You hate on me all you want. I do not like Batman with a gun. King Shark is fun. He's stupid, and it just adds the perfect comedic relief to the Suicide Squad movie. And honestly, that's more than Ben Affleck's Batman has ever done for me personally. Next up on the list, though, is Peacemaker. And this is another one of the best in my opinion. Arguably, honestly, I'm going above Harley Quinn. This might be another hot take, but I'm going above Harley Quinn. And it's not necessarily a casting thing, but Peacemaker as a show has like fleshed out this character so much more than pretty much every other character in this universe. And I just definitely think that honestly, I'm going above Aquaman. Screw it, dude. I'm putting Peacemaker above Aquaman. The more I think about it, Peacemaker is just such a well-developed character in this universe through all of the really poorly done movies to all of the amazing projects that the DCU has put out, the very limited number of them that they have. I definitely think that Peacemaker is the highlight. He's the most thematically drawn out character. He's the character that feels like has not only the darkest side, but also the lightest moments with the comedy. There's such a flip side to this character that honestly feels in a way similar to Shazam in my opinion, except Peacemaker gets a lot darker than that. I think there's a side to these characters that really allows you to be entertained and have a fun, great time, but also be in near tears at times. Peacemaker, I would say, is pretty much the only character in the whole DC universe that allows for both sides of that. Okay, before we move on to Polka Dot Man, I have made the executive decision to move Ben Affleck down to meh because I hate seeing him in the good tier. Next up, we got Polka Dot Man. I would put Polka Dot Man at great. Honestly, more emotion than I've ever felt for anyone in the good tier. That's why I kind of bump him up a little bit. And additionally, he has such limited screen time. Cyborg basically has like 14 trillion hours in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And The Flash is The Flash. He's a very mainstream, arguably one of the most popular DC characters. You already have so much story to tell with him, but Polka Dot Man is like this unknown dude that I had no idea even existed before the Suicide Squad, yet his character carries such an emotional weight. And though it's real, a lot of his stuff is really stupid in the Suicide Squad with like the thing about his mom and then giving him powers and all that kind of stuff is really dumb, but it's still emotional. And is that the character as much as it is James Gunn? You know what I mean? It teeters on that line of like the creator does most of the heavy lifting here. That's kind of what it is with all these characters, is it depends on how much emotional weight the director is giving it. Let's look back at Ben Affleck's Batman, maybe. Anyways, I'm not gonna talk more about Ben Affleck's Batman. I promise I will not say a single more thing about him this video. Moving on, we have Ratcatcher, another great hero, technically anti-hero, but great character that we have on this list here. Very emotional, arguably the emotional core of the Suicide Squad, which is arguably the most emotional DCEU movie. I think what makes Ratcatcher such a special hero / anti-hero is that, yeah, like Polka Dot Man is stupid, King Shark, all that stuff is dumb, right? But Ratcatcher, just a girl that can control rats. You wouldn't expect a thing from that character. Like, you wouldn't expect a single emotional beat to come out of what that character is in the Suicide Squad. Yet by the end, it pretty much has you bawling your eyes out when she's guiding a bunch of rats with her hand in her wand. Next up on the list is Rick Flag. I'm gonna put him at bottom of great. Pretty much all of the Suicide Squad characters are great characters. I think Rick Flag's death is pretty much like a pinnacle part of the future of the DC universe, or at least like the more modern era of the DC extended universe. Like, we're talking post Zack Snyder stuff, kind of Shazam, all that kind of stuff. I really like what they do with the Rick Flag's like impact on Peacemaker. And again, Peacemaker is a unique dealio here that we have in the DC universe because he's the only one with like a full series. But Rick Flag is a massive part of Peacemaker's character development. But even in himself, Rick Flag is such a compelling character because obviously he's like pro-government and like he's like trying to do the right thing. but he finds out about those drives. He finds out about all these evil things that the government has done, and he wants to get it out there, and he wants to save and help the people. But obviously Peacemaker comes in the way, and then you have all that stuff that goes down in the Suicide Squad, that battle that takes place like pretty much through Peacemaker's helmet, which is one of the coolest battles in any comic book movie, to be honest. But yeah, Rick Flag is just such a great character. Like, it's both on an impact level, but also just individually, like what he can do. His power set isn't anything super spectacular, yet he's so entertaining. Next up, we have Steve Trevor, who I was honestly debating to put on this list because technically he's not a superhero, but I would consider him a hero enough. I'm going to put him at top of meh just because of Wonder Woman 1984. If we're not considering Wonder Woman 1984, I would put him on the good tier, probably above King Shark, right below Cyborg. But Wonder Woman 1984 really dropped this character down, in my opinion. Next up on the list is Henry Cavill. Next up on the list is Superman. I'm going to put him right below Ratcatcher 2, a great, and that might be the hottest take of this entire video. But honestly, honest to God, this character should be in Best of the Best. But for me, the writing is just not compelling enough. I don't really care about this over-dramatized Superman. I've talked about this in many videos on the channel before, but my favorite rendition of Superman is Tyler Hoechlin, the CW Superman and Lois. I like that Superman more than this one because there's that balance of Clark Kent, the family man, but also Superman, the super badass guy that's fighting aliens and stuff like that. I really love both sides of it. But this is just an over-dramatized, super dark and gritty version. It's cool, it's fine, but it doesn't work for me. And I think the reason he still fits in great and he's not bumped down to good is because as I've gotten older, I've kind of opened up more towards the whole, like, Superman being a god and what would we do if he's in our world. And so I'm more open to that rendition, but it's not like the thing I like. It's not that I want more of this Superman. I want a Superman that is feeling hopeful to the world. I don't want him to feel like he's like this evil being and no one trusts him. Like, obviously that's the real world politics of it, and that's a cool rendition if that's what Zack Snyder wanted to do. But that's not the Superman I want to have be my Superman. Like, that's not this, like, I go to the movies not to watch a depressing Superman that could create like this nightmare world. I don't care for that. But on the other hand, I think Henry Cavill just perfectly embodies this role. Like, one of the greatest superhero castings of all time. Looks wise, he fits into the role well. I just don't think that the material itself elevates him to be in the best of the best category. And then we have Weasel, I think his name is. I honestly don't even know bro's name, but I'm gonna put him at bottom of meh. This might be the only character that I put below Ben Affleck's Batman, and it's strictly because he has maybe a tenth of the screen time that Ben Affleck's Batman does. But anyways, moving on, we have Wonder Woman. I'm gonna put her at top of great, just because of Wonder Woman 1984, and I really do not like what they did to her character in that movie. I think Wonder Woman, the original, is an amazing movie, great stuff, great characterization, peeling back that layer of humanity, and honestly, it pretty much is being a war film. I love what they do with their character. Gal Gadot is a good enough casting for Wonder Woman. I used to think she was like an amazing casting. She's good. Just acting wise, it's not as much as I feel like we could get out of the character. And I feel like when I was younger, I was like, oh, like she looks like Wonder Woman. That's cool. But like as I've gotten older and I look back at her performance, it's a very stale performance, to be honest with you. And so that's also kind of why it decreased over time in terms of like how much I like her as a character overall. And then we have Vigilante. I think that's his name, right? Vigilante from Peacemaker. I'm gonna honestly, I don't know if I should do. Okay, I'm gonna put him. That could piss some people off. I'm gonna put him below Superman, just because he doesn't have as much screen time. But he is arguably the funniest character in the DC universe. He is such a great sidekick to Peacemaker. And I don't have much to say about this character because he's only in the Peacemaker show, not in many other projects, but he's really funny. Like, he is definitely one of the highlights of the Peacemaker show. And there is a great dynamic between Peacemaker and Vigilante that I feel like we haven't really gotten with any other DC characters. Next up, though, getting to the actual Shazam family, I do think that Mary would just be in the meh tier. I would honestly put her above Steve Trevor just because out of all these characters in the meh tier, Like, they're enjoyable, but none of them really make me have a fun time in the theater. You have great comedic moments in terms of just the dynamic between the Shazam family. And honestly, I'm just going to go through and rank all of these Shazam family really quickly because I would say a lot of them go in meh characters overall, just because I really just didn't feel like I got enough development with them. I put the one, I'm forgetting her name. I think her name is Darla. I think that's the purple one's name. Darla, yeah. And then this guy played by DJ something, something, something. I'm going to put him in Met as well. And then this other guy, the gray suit guy, I'm actually going to put him at the bottom of good because he was actually really fun. Next up, we're going to get into the Black Adam team, the JSA. We have Adam Smasher. I'm going to put Adam Smasher at the bottom of good. Or I will put him above King Shark because honestly, Noah Centineo, he's a corny actor, but he does well enough in this movie. Like, he keeps me entertained. And then we have Dr. Fate. Honestly, I'm putting him above the Flash. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but he is fun as hell in this movie. Like, he looks so... I mean, I don't know if you guys know this. I'm a big fan of Doctor Strange. I love the whole, like, mystic arts powers and all that kind of stuff. Dr. Fate does exactly that in this movie. He is so cool. He does the whole like ding, 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 thing that he does from the Injustice game. It is so sick. And then we have Hawkman. I'm going to put Hawkman, I'll put him at top of good, just above Dr. Fate because of just character development purposes. I feel like he's a way more fleshed out character and you actually get some sort of arc for him, unlike Dr. Fate. Really, I mean, you get an arc for Dr. Fate, but it's not as much as Hawkman. I also think the Hawkman fight between him and Black Adam in the kid's room, in Black Adam in like the middle of the movie-ish, is really, really cool. All the slow-mo and just the ripping of the papers on the... It looks really, really sick. So yeah, I really enjoy Hawkman's character and his pairing with The Rock. I think both actors bounce off each other really, really well. And then you have Cyclone. I think that's what her name is, Cyclone. I'm gonna put her at honestly, thing is her powers are really cool, but she doesn't do much. Like the actress is fine, but she's just not as entertaining as these other heroes. I'm gonna put her like at the top of meh-ish. And I'm going to move Mary probably to the top of Meh. I don't know why I put her at the middle of it, but yeah, I'm going to put Mary at the top of Meh. And then we have Black Adam. I'm going to put Black Adam at bottom. I will put him right below Cyborg. Just because my biggest thing with Black Adam that I really, really love that they did with this character is that they made the villain, like he's the villain for most of the movie, right? And then he kind of becomes an anti-hero, but he never becomes the hero. And that's what a lot of these anti-hero movies struggle to do, is they always end up making the hero, the anti-hero or the villainous, whatever they are, they end up making them the hero by the end of the movie in some capacity. This movie really doesn't do this. Like, he's pretty much still like a pretty evil dude by the end, and I kind of like that. I just realized I forgot to put this character on the tier list, but Freddy, the Shazam character in the blue suit, I'm going to put him in the middle of good, probably right below Black Adam, just because I feel like the guy who plays him, I think his name is Adam Brody or something like that. But yeah, he is great. Like, the limited screen time that he gets, he is so great as Freddy, and there's so much charisma, so much charm, and I wish we got to see more of that character. And we got to see enough, like story-wise, it kind of makes sense in my opinion, but I don't know. I don't really feel like they gave him enough screen time for me to put him above characters that had way more screen time. Final character to rank here, though, is Shazam. I'm going to put him at the very top of great. Arguably, I could see the very bottom of best of best, and I just really like the way that Zachary Levi plays Shazam. I feel like I talked about this a little bit in my review for Shazam, Fury of the Gods, but I feel like there's a little bit of a continuity disconnect between the way that Asher Angel, I think that's what his name is, how he plays Billy, and then how Zachary Levi plays Billy, just in regards to the maturity level. Like, Zachary Levi feels a lot more immature as Shazam, whereas Asher Angel feels a lot like more serious whenever he's playing like the younger kid version. But I just like the way that Zachary Levi is Shazam. Like, he feels very kiddie, and it works. Like, I like it in the first Shazam movie. I like it in Shazam Fury of the Gods. I just like the way that they have fun with this character, and it feels like a little kid in a grown-up's body. And people might not like that. People will be like, oh, it's just too immature. It's just stupid jokes. I didn't laugh once. I have the humor of a 2-year-old. I will quite literally laugh at a fart. And Shazam and Shazam Fury of the Gods are pretty much a bunch of fart jokes that I love. I think it's kind of like my comparison with Deadpool is like the jokes are stupid at times, but I just find it funny. And Zachary Levi as Shazam is just like a bunch of funny moments compiled into one. It's like those YouTube compilations of the super funny vines that you used to watch. It's just who Zachary Levi is as this character, and it's so entertaining. My biggest problem though with Shazam as a whole, and why I don't think he really breaks into best of the best, is because Shazam himself doesn't feel like he has an emotional core to him. Billy Butcher, or not Billy Butcher.
Fucking diabolical.
Okay, it's Billy Batson, not Butcher. Butcher is from The Boys. Billy Batson has that emotional core in him, but Shazam doesn't. And I do think there's a very big difference. And honestly, Shazam Fury of the Gods kind of proved it with, and this is kind of a spoiler, but the clip was released before the movie even came out, so I wouldn't consider it a spoiler. But basically, when Billy's mom is trying to talk to him, she's like, oh, can you go back to like your actual Billy form? Which just proves a lot of the emotional weight goes on Billy Batson and not actually Shazam. And so the character, very lighthearted, very funny, very just dumb fun energy, but completely takes away the emotional core of the character. But guys, that's it for my ranking of all the DCEU heroes. Again, let me know your ranking of the DCEU heroes in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. Peace.